Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Let's see what do we got going here? Coke says at the doctor's, but hopefully I'll catch this one live. Hope everything goes well. Jason's here. Hi, Jason. How are you doing today? Yeah, hello. Hey, Evan. Chris is here. He says, watching live via the Book of Faces while working. That sounds like my kind of strat. What's in your chain? Okay, so this is the JB right here, and this is a jazz pickup. I was only using into the little DS1, but just for a little extra, but into into a Marshall. This was the lighter Marshall. This is into the pod, but then to a heavier. It's basically a gained up Marshall with the treble rolled off with the DS1 in front of it. So that's what I was. That was just having fun. I'm just trying to get this thing working. This thing needs some nut work. It needs to come down a little bit more, and when it rolls down, it loses a lot of high end. So I'm going to have to do some sort of a treble kit to it. So that's what I was, I don't know. I just walked in here just a minute ago. I just picked it up, plugged it in, plugged that pedal in, and see how we're doing. I'm getting started as I talk here. So I'm pulling up today's page, the Thursday, April 28th. This is episode 247. We talked about diatonic bar chords based off of the A string. And this is the 25th Academy Days Day. So we're talking about bar chords based off the A string with the issues with that. In the audio podcast, we talked about the shapes of those chords. We also talked about the sound, why you would want to use them. And then the problems you have with them, right? Let's see. Hey, how you doing? You're back. Awesome, man. He says, don't know what I'm here for. Although, who am I trying to deceive? I'm here to avoid one more hour of exercise. Well, we're good for that. I'm avoiding doing a number of things right now. Hanging out with some familiar folks. Chris says, maybe that's why I'm hearing my sound, the DS into Marshall. Yeah, I just thought I'd plug that in today. That DS1 pedal, to me, it's always what you plug it into. It can sound fantastic plugged into a certain amp and then not so great into other amps. The surprising thing about the DS1, for me, is how good it sounds into my Fender clean. I guess what happens, maybe I did this too when I first started using the DS1, is I'd have the treble up too high and that into a trebly amp was funny. But, in a blues setting, which is what I did for a long, long time, it was fantastic on slide through my Fender. So I have it right here. I built it. I bought a old Fender Bandmaster Reverb, one of those big tall ones. It was broken. I took the chassis out. I rebuilt the whole thing, made it into the 60 specs, and bought like the finger joining jig, and some pine, and made a cabinet, a 210 cabinet, and made it into a Vibrolux, a 40-watt Vibrolux. And I used that for years. It's been all over the place, sitting right down here. And I've used a lot of different pedals into it, but the DS1, especially for like Southern rock stuff, it doesn't sound into the if you get it set right up, it doesn't have that kind of Boss DS1 sound to it. It sounds very Clapton-y, you know? Let's see here. Let's see if I can recreate that. So here is, let's see here. There's a kind of a clean. Let me see if I can set it up. See if it'll do it. That's kind of low. Let's. And I could plug it off and I'd turn it off and. So of course this is modeling. You know, I'm going into this and it's old modeling. It's not even good modeling. So it's almost like a lighter gain with some compression to it, which is what I would like anyway. Let's see here. And then if you push it, a really good blues lead sound. Now this is with humbuckers, right? You know, I didn't use it all the time, but when I did use it, it worked well. It worked well. You know, and it's, what is it, $30? Can't beat it. Can't beat it. So let's see here. David's here. Hi, David. How are you doing today? Hi, Dean. How are you doing? Let's see here. Chris says, yeah, liking that lead. I love a white Strat. Yeah, I like the way this... if you remember, I bought like 4 or 5 different pick guards. I was trying to, what was on this before, was I had 2 DiMarzio area, pickups in the front. And then I had, what did I have in the back? I think I had the Fralin, hum canceling bridge. That's kind of like the other pickups I use in my other Strats. And so I had that for years, and I just, you know, I played it sometimes, and sometimes it was okay, but I didn't play it a whole lot. And I was thinking about buying like a heavier guitar, and I thought, you know what? I don't use the white one enough. Let's just turn it into a 2 humbucker Strat. I had the pickups already. I've got tons of humbuckers that I don't use. And I figured, we'll just swap in and see what happens. And so we got a bunch of pick guards, and none of them were that kind of mint green that I was looking for. You know, that some of them were way too green, you know, which took away, because I like a white Strat too. And this one I think is a parchment, for their parchment, whatever it is, and it's almost like it's like tan a little bit, you know, like a beige. That's why I put this. I've had for my old group lessons, I used to buy some cheap straps and just give them to them at our recitals. But this pick guard just started growing on me with this Strat, man. It just looks really. It just made it, you know. I've had a lot of different pick guards on this. I've had a pearl pick guard. It came with just a white pick guard. But I think I don't know. It looks pretty sharp to me. Now, once I get everything the way I like it on this, once I get this nut finished, I just have to lower it down just a little bit more. If I do too much, it'll mess it up. but just lower it down a little bit more. And then I'm thinking the next person's purchase I will make is get rid of this bridge and get one of the, what is the guys from Spain that have that trim that sits down in there that you can, I'm sure you guys remember it. I just can't, it just lost me. The Vega trim. I'm going to put the Vega trim on here. And so I'll have a nice new tusk nut. I've got a new string tree because the old one wasn't giving enough angle. So I got just a vintage one. And I'll get the new bridge on there. And I've already got the locking tuners. So I'll be good to go. And the next time it's fretted, I'm going to flatten the fretboard even more. So this was like a vintage, like a 7 1/4, really rounded, 7, whatever the 7 one is, really rounded radius on this. And then last time I fretted it, I took the frets off and I made it a 9.5. So this is a regular, I was just reading right there. Regular Fender, like a Mexican or a standard kind of 9.5. But now I'd like it even flatter there. So let's see here what we got. Chris says, I was trying to get Joey to think about buying a Black Beauty. He has more money than me. Yeah, they're nice. Those Les Pauls, man, are heavy, especially when you're young and skinny. They were for me. I had one. I had to sell it. It was just too much on my shoulders and my back. It says, I can surely tell that your guitar's color is a strange kind of the black. Maybe you can write to their guarantee department. Okay. All right. Evan says Vega. Right. Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin, what's going on, man? What's up, string slayers? And then David says, I'm a string breaker. Right. How about that? Let's talk about breaking some strings today. I have been using the 9.5s that Dean's been using too. I've used those for years. Still using them on the Les Paul. I switched to 9s on these guitars, and on this one in the Gilmore, I'm on Diatonic 9s now, and I'm breaking strings more. This one I broke. This is like when I did have to take the strings off once, and that's probably what did it. Once you put them on, if you have to take them off and put them back on again, it's all over. So I think that may be what it is. He says, I'm a string corroder. That's very sad and expensive. Yes. Better than a string breaker than a heartbreaker. When I'm playing live, a set of strings is dead by the end of the night. But here, they last a really, really, really long time. So I've been lucky. I haven't had to only buy strings when I'm making a change to something, But this intonated really well. It wasn't a struggle at all. I'm gonna have to redo it again when I lower the nut a little bit more. But this, once I find the right tone treble bleed circuit, and I'll do that using the Decade boxes. In fact, I have two. I have my resistor Decade box finished. I bought a capacitor one, but it was a kit, so I have to actually put it together. But once I do that, I'll be able to just get 2 wires where it would go across the 2 leads on the volume pot, and bring the 2 wires out, hook those boxes on, and experiment until I find just the right one. Unbreak my heart. Yeah, that's right. So how about let's see here. I'm going to ask David about this because this is probably something he's going through right now. Also, we have the Q&A over on in the Academy at 3. So we'll be popping out of here and going over to the Academy in about 10 minutes or so. right up till 3. I think we'll hang out today. I'm going to ask David about this. If you're not driving, A-shaped chords. These, trying to get all of your fingers. Or for harder rock stuff, I've got my Van Halen shirt on today. He did a lot of these. Eddie loved to use triads. A lot of his songs used the triads up high on the neck. He didn't do a lot of strummy stuff. He would just pick the triads out and go back and forth. And then he also loved the inside 4 strings, the minor shapes. And he wasn't using a lot of 7ths chord. He was using mostly, either power chords or major triads, minor triads, those kind of things. So really not like going crazy with the rhythm guitar stuff. He would do all the outside stuff in lead. And the farther you get, the higher you get up here, the harder, more difficult it becomes to fit those notes into a chord. I'm doing it right now. And what happens is, as you can see, let's see if you can see. You start to see a little of that, especially if you have lighter strings. The strings kind of start to go out of tune a little bit. And you hear it, Another thing about tuning for these triads too, he had a really strange way of tuning, of detuning. So certain strings were detuned than others. And I think that was because he did a lot of these triads up high, and especially when you're totally supposedly in tune on a major triad, it's actually not exactly great for distortion, and there's still a little rub in there. If you flat the third a little bit, the distortion evens out. And so he had a very strange way. And then I watched a thing. I don't know if you've seen it, but if your guitar, I think one of his guitar techs was talking about how he tuned the guitar, and anyone else who had played it would sound out of tune. But I guess the way he pressed the strings down, it worked really good. So let's see here. We're talking about strings here. Essay says, my sweat is acid. I literally have to replace the first string every 3 days. New string becomes rusty after just 1 hour of playing. Yeah. And you think, a lot of people like to go to those Elixirs. I know there's a guy who's like, he demonstrates, I forget the guy's name. He demonstrates a lot of the metal stuff going into IRs. I watch him a lot. And his, he uses the Elixirs and loves them, loves the sound of them. And, that only helps. Those are coated strings. That only helps on the wound strings. The plain strings aren't coated at all. They're just regular plain strings. So it doesn't help those at all. He said, my sweat is acid. I literally have to replace 1 string every 3 days. New string becomes rusty in just 1 hour playing. On 2nd days, it's already just black. Then it's impossible to tune. Yeah. Yeah. And that happens to me when I'm playing out. I don't know what it is. It's the adrenaline rush, or a chemical change. Coke says, wash your hands before touching the guitar, from Tom Morello. Yeah. What's that stuff? The GHS stuff that you spray on the guitars? Fast fret, right? Fast fret. I used that for a while. I was playing in, it was a gig at a church. I was playing at a church, and then it was very humid there. It was in Georgia. So it was very humid in there. And it was one of those things where it's like you're playing here, and then you quickly have to go up high to do something, and it's like the guitar just stops you. It's just, just stops you. And so I would use fast fret on the strings and the back of the neck. It's kind of gross, but the strings ended up lasting longer. So I was wondering if maybe there's some sort of spray that you could put on your strings to make them last longer. It says, I tried 6 packs of Elixirs. They last longer too. They last 8 days instead of 3 days. So the coated string. So what about the Elixirs? They cost like it, but what about so your sweat went through the coating on the strings, or is it just the high strings that you would kill on those? Ton is Tom's cousin. Yeah. Ton. It's a duo, Ton and Tom. Dun, 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 dun. Strings not right. Elixir high strings won't be cut right. No, they're not. It's just the wound ones that have a coating. Yeah, and then other people have their own coated strings too. Gore is the company that does the Elixirs. Let's see here. Chris says, I boiled my bass strings a few times, like after the first decade. Yeah. I need to get new strings for that. I played it the other day and it was really dead, and I don't want to fool with it. I just want to buy some new strings. I think they're years old. Just says, I have a mineral oil lemon oil mix that I put on the strings and wipe it down with a microfiber when I'm done. Yeah, I used Dr. Duck's for a long time, especially when I'm playing. It smells good too, but it keeps the strings are okay. It's okay for the strings, but it was really nice for the fretboard as well. But you can clean the whole guitar with it too. David says, let's make tomorrow's chat Metal Day. It's David's birthday tomorrow? Yes. My son and his wife close on their house and are moving out of mine. That's a big day on your birthday too. Man, there's some trouble that can be had on a day like that. So Metal Day tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk about metal tomorrow. You pick the topics. Well, actually, I don't know. Tomorrow's live stream is a maybe, because tomorrow I'm starting to meet with coaching students. These are my introductory, before we get started, appointments. And right now, I don't think there's any appointments during this time. So if I don't have any appointments during this time, tomorrow will be a definite. I'll definitely go on sometime, because it's David's birthday. I'll make sure to go on at some point. I'll just have to do another one. He said, what time do we got? 2:55. Okay, we'll switching over in just a minute. Elixirs is just a fake, to be honest. They work well for dry hands, but not for people like me. It's making macro shots of them. The coating dies over the fret very quickly, and then there goes the sweat. How do you do with the guitar itself, like rusting on the guitar, and with the neck? Like the stain and everything. I remember there was a guy from Blues Traveler. Do you remember them? And he had the same problem you do. And he ended up, it was eating his guitars away. So he ended up playing graphite guitars. I remember that. It was a story from a long time ago. I remember that. So is it just the strings, or is it messing your guitars up too? David says, I used Dr. Duck's Axe Wax. Yeah, that's cool. I need to get some more. Mine got left out in the garage and it started separating. I need to get some more. After a week, there's tons of cracks on the coating. Okay, you're talking about strings. Yeah, and it's still there. Feels slippery, but there's no more metal protect. Yeah, so after a week. You're hardcore, man. Well, we'll have to figure something out. We'll figure something out, man. Okay, so let's see here. It's 2:56. Anything you want to ask real quick before I switch over there? We're going to switch over to the Q&A. If you have any questions in the Academy, guitar related questions about what you're doing or stuff that, some of the levels in the Academy, I'd be happy to answer them and during the live stream. And let's see. Let's go over to the Academy right now. Yeah, they changed. Okay, here we go. And if you just go to front page, there's a click here to go to live stream page. And there's a comment there already. Okay, so Jim's put 2 questions in. All right, so we'll be getting to Jim's questions. Plus, any of you who want to head on over there too, we'll just, let's see. I'm not seeing the live stream page. Or the video in that. That's odd. Might have to fix that. Okay, I'm going to head on over there. Let's see here. Chris says, he said, yeah, my sound pickup is totally rusted. Yeah, I thought so. I'm lucky with my bridge. It doesn't rust, although the screws are badly rusted. Yeah, that's what I figured. Chris says, got to go see you next time. Bye, Chris. Isai says, well, thanks for not telling me stuff like you must be doing. No, you're not doing anything wrong. When I hear it, I feel like strangling people. Yeah, I've been teaching for a long time, and people have all sorts of different issues, and that's not an uncommon. I mean, it's not common, but it's not rare. You see that a lot. So, yeah, well, just I would think. I always think of it as like a chemistry thing. If your sweat is acid, some sort of a spray on there that's got like a base, a basic kind of something to bring the pH to normal. That's what I would, if I had that problem, that's what I'd be looking at. But I have to look into that more. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go head on over to the Q&A, and I hope to see you all over there inside the Academy. It was a cool afternoon to hang out with you, and I'll see you tomorrow at some point. I'm definitely going to pop on and at least to say happy birthday to David, but the timing may be a little funny tomorrow. Okay, see you guys over there. Bye-bye.